Hello, dear friends. If there is an idiot in power, it is because those who elected him are well represented. Gandhi said. Opinion piece. The power of good. Will to live. Kindness prevails. Transcendence of art. Victory of common sense. Importance of compassion. Tendency to moral evolution. Our planet wants to be holy. It's time to recover the rainbow. Connection with the essence of the world. Let's start. The power of good is such that it always triumphs over evil, once you decide to ally yourself with it. Hope is based on faith in the force of life and the force of good. On what should you base your hope? In the certainty that the future can always be better, even if the present is not very great. The force of life always triumphs over evil. The power that heads it is not the power that lasts. Sooner or later, divine love will triumph. No matter how hard they try to twist things, in the end, common sense will triumph. If you see your future only as a material or social success, or as a love story worthy of a fairy tale, then perhaps your horizons are blocked. But your true future, your future as divine being, is completely open before you. Every day is different. You may not have seen the sun today, but tomorrow it will shine again. For those who know what to base their hope on, nothing remains closed forever. Strategy. The divine strategy is to allow good and evil to coexist and to use the powerful elements contained in evil to stimulate the forces of good. Human beings can do little to oppose the forces of evil when they begin to manifest within them. They have neither the knowledge nor the skills necessary to conquer it. In such a case, the best solution would be to allow good and evil to coexist and use the powerful energy and elements contained in the evil to stimulate the forces of good, just like in martial arts. That is precisely the strategy of the white hats, hence the saying that God rides straight with crooked lines. This is precisely how a craft works. What does a gardener do? To the stem of a young wild pear tree, whose fruit is inedible, he attaches the branch of a good quality pear tree that will benefit from the vigor of the wild tree. Likewise, each of us can attach branches from the tree of good to the tree of evil within ourselves. This is how the forces of evil try to take over the forces of good for their own papacy. Definition. Evil may gain temporary victories, but it doesn't win in the long term because it is not based on truth. Good is that which in itself has the complement of perfection in its own kind. Evil is an awareness of destruction, the damage or offense that someone receives in the person or their property. That is, what deviates from what is lawful and honest. Good is that which benefits the material and the spiritual survival of the greatest number of beings, and evil would be that which harms it. Therefore, these are not relative concepts, as some say, but rather objective benefits or harms. The idea of the power of good over evil is a theme that has been explored in many religions, philosophies, and belief systems throughout history. In general, the notion is held that good will prevail over evil in the long run. God is believed to be supremely good, and evil is countervailing force or absence of good. It is held that ultimately God will prevail over evil and that good will be rewarded while evil will be punished at the final judgment. From a philosophical perspective, some argue that good prevails over evil through ethics and morality. Following this line of thought, good and virtuous actions are seen as those that ultimately succeed because they promote harmony and well being in society. The power of good over evil is manifested through personal growth and spiritual development. As a human being works on himself to overcome negative tendencies and cultivate virtues, he can experience a sense of victory over the evil within. Some people hold an optimistic view of history and humanity, arguing that despite challenges and conflicts, the long term trend is toward moral and social improvement and evolution. Will to live. In a more abstract sense, the power of life can refer to a person's determination and will to overcome obstacles and move forward in life despite difficulties. This interpretation is related to the idea that life can present challenges, but the inner strength of a human being allows them to face them and prosper. Another interpretation of the power of life can be related to a person's ability to create, innovate, and contribute to the world around them through their creative and productive capacity. In this sense, the power of life refers to creativity, productivity, and the ability to influence society in a positive way. It could also be interpreted as the responsibility that each individual has for his or her own life and its decisions. In this context, life power refers to the ability to make conscious and responsible decisions that affect the course of a person's life. Schopenhauer. The concept of the will as will and representation is the title of the most important philosophical work of the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, first published in 1818. This work is fundamental in Western philosophy and has influenced numerous thinkers and currents of thought. Schopenhauer maintains that the ultimate and underlying essence of the world is will. Will is a blind force that drives everything in the universe, including human beings. This will is a fundamental force that is beyond reason and conscience and is responsible for our desires, instincts, and needs. He argues that the way we perceive the world is through representation or phenomenal experience. Our senses and mind provides us with a representation of the world that is subject to illusions and distortions. This representation is subjective and does not reflect the reality itself, but rather our perception of it. Schopenhauer concludes that the will is the source of human suffering. Our constant desires and craving keeps us trapped in an endless cycle of dissatisfaction and suffering. He advocates renunciation of desire as a path to liberation from suffering, as does Buddhism. He maintains that art and aesthetic contemplation offer a temporary escape from will and suffering. Through art, we can momentarily transcend our worry and experience a direct connection with the essence of the world. He also highlights the importance of compassion towards others. He argues, he argues that by recognizing the will in others and practicing compassion, we can overcome our self centeredness and move closer to a deeper understanding of reality. In short, Schopenhauer's The World as Will and Representation is a philosophical work that presents a world view where the will is the driving force behind everything. Suffering is omnipresent, and the liberation from suffering is found in the renunciation of will and aesthetic contemplation. News. The economy is not looking good. The euro is losing ground against the dollar. Donald Trump on the verge of tears when describing the fall of the US. Bill Gates proposes fighting climate change by destroying forests. Britain will jail people who disagree with net zero, raising alarm bells. Under this new legislation, those who fail to comply with energy consumption regulations could face prison terms of up to 1 year and fines of up to £15,000. Weak demand leads Europe to stagflation. The ECB plans a second blow to the banks to raise minimum reserves. The GDP gap between the US and Europe reached 80% due to sanctions. The price of gas increases in Europe after the Chevron strike in Australia. Electricity from magnets only. A company has obtained a patent. This seems to be possibly a revolutionary new technology that could change the energy market as we know it. Russia and Turkey agree to supply 1 million tons of grain. Egypt becomes a key important importer of Russian wheat at the beginning of the 2023-24 agricultural year. Morocco suffers the strongest earthquake ever recorded in the area, and it is felt in Spain. The 7-degree seismic movement has been felt in Huelva, Seville, Malaga, and Jaén. The G20 incorporates the African Union to give more voice to developing countries. G20 leaders adopt final declaration of New Delhi summit. G20 countries also committed to strengthening global food security and affordable nutrition for all. G20 leaders called for full implementation of the Black Sea Grains Initiative, including ensuring supplies of Russian fertilizers. The heads of state indicated that the current era should not be an era of wars. The IMF assures that transnational organized crime damages the economy of the Americas. Argentina received its first investment in yuan, a test of what the future will be. Steve Biko says, "What better day to announce the reset than 9/11 to honor those who lost their lives to save others?" He asks. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.